Okay guys, so now on to some really fun, interesting stuff. It's stuff I've been playing with for about 8 years, maybe even a little bit longer. I've just called headlock guard, and it's not a guard. I know there's been some confusion for people at some of the tournaments asking me like why they don't get points for passing headlock guard or whatever else, or doing reversals from headlock guard. It is not a guard, and I'll show you right away here. The idea is I'm going for my twin, and he blasts past this arm and gets me flat. Now, I don't want to get caught here, so I turn to my side and I grab his head. So if you ever have that guy in the club that's a super strong and athletic, he just blasts through you, so he just runs into you. It's like, oh, okay, take the suggestion, turn to here. So this is all I'm looking to do, as I grab Troy in that headlock. Okay, so this is a nice, strong position. Okay. It's really easy to get to, and guys don't even think it's a threat. And if you're not sure about what this position is, if you watch here, it's Kesagatami. Okay, so sometimes you get a little bit confused, like what's going on. It's Kesagatami. Now, the challenge is when you're on top, most people don't like Kesagatami because if that head comes out, then he's on my back, right? But on the bottom, that's not really the case because now I have the ground helping me out. So again, I try to do stuff that's not working, I turn to my side. So now I want to be able to do something and attack Troy. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my arm here, like it's going for Kimura. When that happens, he's going to grab, I bring my leg up, and I trap it. Now, you can see if his arm's straight, I'm going to look for an arm bar or roll him over. Okay? And that surprisingly is fairly common. Okay? Guys don't get caught in it consistently over and over, your same training partners, but it does happen. So if you leave that arm out, bring your knee in, watch you don't knee him in the face, bring your leg up here, trap. Now see how he turned his hand, his palm up? Then I just turn his head down and roll him into the position. And if we turn, we're just back in that Kesagatami. Okay? So that's actually a fairly common one. Another one is sometimes you just grab the guy's arm and you put it in, okay? But I'm going to show you a trickier way, because what should he be expecting? He should be expecting me to roll him. And that's what I'm looking for. So when I go to bridge and roll Troy, that hand comes out. I'm going to grab it, step over it, and hook it. This is a nasty Americana. I grab my hand, I can pull on his head, I can pull on his arm, or I can turn my hips. So I have 3 ways here I can bust his shoulder. So again, I pull on his head, that stretches his neck out. Okay, and we've done that a little bit before in the Kimuras, right? Hang the guy off of his shoulder, stretching out his neck. I can pull my leg back, like I'm kicking my butt, and I can turn my hip. All 3 of them are great, and you know what's better than 1, 2, or 3 is, hey, do them all at the same time, and his shoulder rips apart. Okay, so again, guys have a hard time in this. I'm on my side, I bridge like I'm going to roll him over, and of course he's going to stop and put his hand down. Won't grab it and trap it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, sometimes you get guys with tight shoulders, and you're like, oh, I can't get it. One thing that's really going to help is hip up and step over it. Okay, to get to that position. So for him to believe that I'm going to roll him, I have to try and roll him, and to do that, I got to get my hips up. So I turn in and lift my hips up. And I catch it. Sometimes you do that and you don't really believe it. You can pull his arm down and you'll get that reversal. You'll get to roll him over. Okay? So keep that in mind. You want to try and roll the guy, and if you don't end up rolling the guy, then you're going to go for your Americana. It is extremely unconventional. Guys don't always understand what's happening, so they may not tap. So unfortunately, sometimes they get hurt. So be careful, mindful of your partner. I'm going to show you the exact same thing, but now in Kesagatami. So it's the same idea. When I get control of this arm, I want to lift my leg up and catch it. Okay, I don't push it down underneath my leg and then go here. I want to meet him halfway. Grab my hands together, I can pull on his head, I can pull his leg back, or I can move my hips forward. Okay, and if I do all 3, obviously much worse. The challenge is, from this position, sometimes it could be a little bit harder to get that arm. Okay, he wants to get that arm out, and on the way to get his arm out, we have to try and catch it, okay, and then bring it down. Okay, maybe you get a straight arm bar, okay, and that might happen. So there's a little quick one for you here. Every once in a while you'll get that one, not a lot, but once in a while. But you'll find when you're on the bottom and you have headlock guard, it's so easy to get that arm. Like guys put that arm out all the time, unless they do one other thing, and I'll show you when you come back. Okay guys, so now what if we get him in that headlock guard position, but he sends his weight back, so I can't roll him over. I got a great move for it. So I'm here, I have his head, but when I try to roll him, I can feel he's sitting his weight onto his heel, so he's not really budging. So what I want to do is take my foot, I put it on the floor where my knee is up or slightly in, and I'm going to drag my hip. I'm going to keep dragging it and walking until I roll him over into this position. Now this is great because now I can put him right into my Americana right here. Okay, so again, we got the headlock. I try to roll, but he sits his weight back. Drive, 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 drive. Sit him up and grab that arm right away, and then crank it on. We'll go from a slightly different angle here. Okay. His weight is back. I can feel when Troy sits back and it pulls my shoulder back a little bit. So I know that weight is there. I'm just going to keep that weight on his knee and drive, trip him over. Okay. And one more time off this side. You can see his weight is back. Drive, 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 up. And grab. This lock is very, very, very strong. Okay, so I can finish it by pulling on his head and stretching his neck out, which can be illegal. I can finish it by pushing my hips forward. I can also finish it by bringing this knee back, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 ways. Do everything at once, and that one, of course, is the one that just blows his shoulder apart. So really, really fun move. If you get those guys that like to stall inside that position, and a lot of them will because it's quite unorthodox to them, you can just run away and grind them out, flip them over, get on top. Okay? Have fun, guys. Okay, so I want to show you something from the Kesugatami where a lot of people tend to panic. I managed, we'll say, to get this arm out and get an Americana. And what happens is, a lot of guys will get to their side a little bit. So Troy will roll into me. He's going to push my head away. Sometimes he gets the leg over my head and he gets on top. And then guys tend to go like, oh no, and they let go. Don't let go. Okay, so we'll turn a little bit this way so we'll get a nice angle. From here, when Troy pushes me back, I'm still going to hold on to it. In fact, I'll pull it. Hey, look where we are. Right in the headlock guard. Okay, so this, right, this. We're all in that same position. So we sit back again here. So I managed to get this from Kesugatami. Great. It's a fairly unconventional lock. He starts to push my head away, even if it's with my legs. Accept it, go back, and then put it on again. Be careful. Very easy. Guys don't really understand what's going on, especially those unconventional things. So we don't want to injure them, don't want to hurt them. If you haven't had the displeasure of carrying someone's shoulder, it's like grabbing about 6 stalks of celery, grab it, and then rotate it. That crunching noise you hear and that vibration, that's what it feels like. So unfortunately, this lock about 6-7 years ago, I was doing it a lot in tournaments, and guys just, they had no clue what was going on. And they tend to fight a little bit longer, especially because they're on top. Guys hate the tap if they're on top, and especially a dominant position. It messes them up, so they tend to fight a little bit longer than maybe they should, plus it's a tournament, and then you get that carrying sound. Absolutely not cool. Okay, so be careful with it, be mindful with your training partners. You know what, if they don't understand what it is, it's because it's unconventional. It's kind of not really new, it's just not very popular. So be mindful for them and help them out. Okay, just let it go and move on to the next move. Okay, go ahead, guys. Okay guys, so we're going to go into side guard. So we did a little bit of section there on headlock guard, which is actually super effective. The side guard stuff, this kind of falls into the that last structure that the second last structure we're doing from here. Okay, so twin goes to headlock. This standard kind of structure goes to side lock or side guard, and this is what we're looking for. This just kind of developed, like most things, out of necessity. At the time, again, this is a long time ago, I started developing this stuff. I had bigger training partners, and they'd blast past my guard, get me in side mount. I absolutely hated it, and I would get pretty good at recovering guard, but then they got better at stopping me, my ability to get guard. So then I started doing this, turning my back the other way. So what I want to do is have my feet on the floor, or even this might happen where they're really reeled in tight, so you can't even get to your elbows in. Foot on the floor, turn. Leg grabs here. Okay, so now I have Troy, my head's in. This is what I'm looking for. This is actually a very frustrating part or position for the guy on top. For MMA, it's actually not bad because Troy doesn't have the ability to knee, because when he does go to knee me in the back, my hips are up. Okay, it stays in tight. For him to punch me, I have to keep my head in so he doesn't have good punches, and his other hand is blocked too. Now, I want to be able to start to be more offensive, not just defensive here. So I'm going to put my arm out just like I did before in that Chimera. And this one, you got to watch that knee a little bit more. Okay, so that's where it gets caught. We don't want to go Americana. I didn't really mention that before, but if I go for Americana, Troy's going to grab my wrist, and he goes underneath, and see how I can't get my knee under his elbow? This is now a problem. Okay, so I want to go Chimera. Here, stretch my arm out, leg comes in, and hook it. So there's the hook. Now, what I want to do from this position is I'm going to grab his arm, or his arm, and stretch it out. I push onto his head, and I grab my own shoulder, and I turn, lift my hips up, pull his head, and now I'm on top in a crucifix. So this is a nice position because now I got the crucifix. That arm's going to come around right away. This arm's going to come right around, and you're looking for your Americana, of course. Okay, so again, this side, this view, I'm here, I turn to my side, hand goes on my leg to hold him in. He grabs for Chimera, bring it in, grab, push his head, hand on my shoulder, and I start to turn. You see I'm turning my legs, lift my hips, and pull his head underneath, turn for that Chimera. Okay, or sorry, turn for the crucifix. That's actually a really easy one. We call this a downhill turnout. I'm rolling him down the hill. So I really got to push his head. So one more time from over here. I'm stuck, foot on the floor, turn to the side, arm in, go for Chimera, trap his arm, push his head, lift, roll him over. Okay? You look for Americana, assuming he gives it to you. Okay, so downhill turnout. Give it a try, guys. Okay guys, so now into the next part. I'm here, we're got to my side, here, and I trapped his arm, okay? So now I'm pushing his head, but he leans back, he sits back. It's like, oh, I can't turn him? Perfect. Push his head, and now I'm looking for a triangle. This isn't the best position for a triangle, okay? I need my upper body on the other side of Troy's head, but I'll be honest with you, I don't really find it's worth the trouble. But what I like is this arm. So I'm going to pull this arm back and have a reverse arm bar here. When he starts to turn his arm, then I get Chimera. And those are two really nice ones. Occasionally he'll push in and then you get a roll. And you can, yes, because you're doing the Chimera. He's going to start to roll with you. Okay? Take the roll. Take the suggestion. Just watch your feet don't get caught. Okay? So again, got the side guard. I got his arm trapped already. I start to push his head and he sits back. It's like, oh, I can't quite do this now. So I stretch him out, leg comes over, triangle my legs. You can try squeezing and pulling. You might get a tap. But I'll tell you, I'm not that great with this move. I have to get all the way to the other side underneath him. So let's not worry about that. Stretch his arm out, reverse arm bar, he starts to turn Americana, he starts to roll with him, get your knees, now we're back into this move that we were doing earlier on Jay that you hated. Okay, so there's lots of stuff that you can do or go from now. You're just transitioning. We did a little section on Kimuras. They're all the same now. As soon as you get that reversal, you're going right into those Kimuras. Okay, so now it's that triangle to reverse armbar to Kimura to whatever finish you want on top. Use that Kimura as a nice reversal. Okay, go ahead, guys. Okay, so I got a special request from Troy to do, how do I get to that triangle? I really want to do it. So I'll show you how it breaks down. So I got that side guard, okay, boom, trap. He sits back, right? If he sits forward, I'm rolling him. So he sits back, I push on his head, I get to my triangle here. So now we're just going to keep this position, but we're going to rotate. So turn, turn, turn. Okay. It's a challenging position to tighten it up from here. So what I want to try and do is pass Troy over. So I want to go under, and roll him and throw him to the other side. Now is where I get the triangle. I just find that a lot of people tend to be a little bit wary of it, but you know what? At a lower level, you're probably going to get guys anyways with it. So again, we'll try to go from a different angle right here. So I already have the arm, we'll already have the triangle, and he's sitting back. I'm going to stretch him out, clear that arm, and I want to try and turn him and pass his arm, pass his legs over, and then I hold on to him. Okay? Once I hold on to him, then I squeeze my arms in. Hopefully he does not go unconscious right now. You see how I loosen the triangle. I squeeze my legs in. Watch my right foot here. Heel is out. I try to point my toes down. Okay? But the idea is we just got to pass underneath. So if the guy is sitting back, it's not always the easiest thing to do. So you get 10 guys that camp out and sit backwards, start attacking the arms. But if their hips are high, look for it. You can flip them over with it, or you just pass yourself underneath them and get to the other side. You know, it is a tight triangle. Keep your head by their hips to stop them from trying to jump back. So again, we'll play on this angle here. Arm, head, try sitting back. If I feel those hips come up, pass the arm, clear the legs, and now my head is here. Because Troy's going to try and jump back. If he jumps back, yeah, well now I'm going to attack his arm with the cool one I'm going to show you next. Okay? Otherwise, stretch him out. We can go around. I don't want to lift him up. I want to stretch him out this way. It will help. Sometimes grab him and he's already in the choke. So just bear hug him, heads in tight, and then finish with your legs. Okay, have fun with it, guys. Okay, so one more move from the side lock, or sorry, two more moves from the side lock guard, guys, sorry. I still have this arm trapped, and this is essential. I have to have this arm trapped. But now what if he tries to push my head down? Maybe he's going to try and elbow me. Oh, that would suck, right? Just pushing my head down. So that's good. So when I feel that arm coming around, trap it. Oh, yeah. This one sucks. This puts an incredible amount of pressure on the shoulder. I unfortunately wrecked a couple of shoulders doing this, and even black belts, they just don't expect it. It's one of those ones where you catch the guy, and if you have tight shoulders, it's a mess already. So I should be here and keeping tight. I'm trying to push his head. He pushes my head, hand comes in, and catch it. And already you can hear Troy, okay? So I don't even have to push this much. If I wanted to do more, I'm going to relax in my grip. If I want to apply more, I turn my hips down, bring my elbow back. But I don't think I could do that on Troy. Just say I might bust his shoulder. So you have to be very, very careful. So again, I'm on my side, my hand's up. I want to watch out for headbutts. I want to watch out for punches. I might start pushing his head. His hand comes around, trap it with my forehead in my hand. Make my long Americana, and I'll loosen my grip here. But turn your hips down. Now I'm going to show you a super important detail. Absolutely super important. if I do not trap this arm or he gets it out, so say that arm's not there, Troy can now go to mount and he can arm bar my top arm. Okay? So you have to be extremely careful. Trying to Americana someone from the bottom of side mount is not a proper good idea. But if you trap their arm, it's not terrible, okay? Because now you limit their ability to move. It's the same way as that Kimura from side off. If I go Kimura and I bring him around me, he has an opportunity to go around my head and go for that arm bar, right? So if I know that I'm getting Kimura'd, Troy's down. Sometimes guys set it up that way, he'll spin around so I end up on the other side. Go here, it's like, hey, you should take that Kimura. Oh, good, and I'll step around. Go for arm bar. Stay back. It's the same thing here. If Troy's going for Americana for whatever reason from here, it's like, oh, I just step around and I have my arm bar on this side. So I don't really want to get into those two for you. They're good moves to know, don't get me wrong. And if you just watch that little clip over and over, you'll figure it out. But you can see for Kimura, wherever, when you're on top, wherever your elbow is pointing, that's the direction you want to go to defend with your legs. If your elbow's down, you have to go this way. So whichever direction your elbow points, from your hand to your fist, go that direction, and you'll get out of it and likely into an arm bar. Okay, so if, as a little bonus here, Troy does manage to catch me with my arm inside his legs, so he's got that side guard, he's on his side, or even here, yeah, absolutely first thing I need to do on top, get my knee in and get my arm out. You cannot let your arm get caught inside there. Like you saw, I've developed a whole, I've organized a whole system here, going for triangles, going for Kimuras, Americanas, and arm bars that rely off that arm being trapped. Right? So if you allow your arm to be trapped, then you're susceptible to all those things. Get your arm out, and that kills that game. However, then we're here, and Troy's not in side mount anymore. So now he can start to shrimp away. Like maybe I go for knee and belly, maybe I'm able to get back, but now he can get into some of those postures we worked before. So you have to be careful. If you're in the bottom, I want to grab that arm because it slows him down, and I have Americanas and all that fun stuff. Okay, so look back at all those ones, guys. Okay, have fun. Okay guys, so sticking with the side mount guard, the last part, a nice, one of my favorite fun reversals to do is an uphill turn out. So now we did the downhill one by push on his head and roll to our belly. Okay, now we're going to do an uphill one. So I'm in that side guard again. I'm on my side here. Troy's got his knees in tight. Now this is super important. If Troy's knee is back, there, where I don't feel it, it's really easy for me to get my arm back in. And remember, one of the things was I was stuck up here, well, I can get to my side. So if Troy's got me tight, I can't get that arm in, very easy to go here, okay? So if he brings that knee back, well, now I can go here and start working my other defensive posture. So don't get me wrong, if I have a choice of postures, I'm gonna pick the one I'm best at, and I'll be honest, I'm actually really good and comfortable in this position, but you might wanna go to here for a while because you'll be more comfortable, you'll be more familiar with it. So anyways, I feel that knee of Troy's. And we're going to slide over here a little bit. Okay, there, that's it. So his knee's on my back. What I want to do is I'm going to put my foot down, wiggle up a little bit, and put his knee in my armpit. My hand is on his hip. Other hand's by his head. I'm going to bridge and roll him over. And I love this one because it's so slow. You can stall. You can do whatever you want and land in your side mount position. Right? So again, you're essentially tripping him. So what I want to do is put his hip on the outside of his knee. So I'm here, I bring my arm up and wiggle until his elbow or his knee's in my armpit. My hand is by his hip and elbow on the floor. Sometimes you can just do it by bridging and tip him over. Okay? Sometimes he has a super wide base. So maybe Troy, I'm not sure how flexible he is. Try to keep the knees in though, because I'm going to do this. So knees as wide as you can. Sometimes they're really flexible. Same thing, you trap and you slide your hip up to his hip. And you roll over. I love this one. It's so graceful. Again, I'll show you a different view. So his knees in tight. I bring my arm down to the floor, hand by his hip. Sometimes you can do it with the bridge to collapse his base and roll him over. If you find your partner has a wide base, okay, so just turn a little bit there. Maybe this might not work, so I take my hip and I meet Troy's hip and I climb up it until I can roll over. Now you have to be careful because when I get here, even though it's side mount, Troy can do the same thing. He'll drop his elbow to the floor, hand on my hip, and he's going to bridge and bring his hip into mine and carry me over. Okay? And I can do it back to him. So you get a little bit of rotation. Extra little detail is I need this. If I leave my elbow on the floor, my hand down, Troy can kneel on it. That's a problem. Okay, can't let that happen. And if you let that happen, that's your fault. Okay, because I'm telling you, don't do it. So here, sometimes you're stuck in side mount. You can just go right to it, even if that knee's up higher by his elbow. It just means, oh, I can't get my elbow in. Wiggle, wiggle, and then go and drop into your position. Okay, so uphill turnout. Give it a try, guys. Okay guys, I got a bonus position, a bonus posture for you. I'm relatively less experienced with this one. I've only been practicing for about a year now. But I'm really liking this one a lot. Because I'll let people pass, I turn to my side, and right here. So I don't quite have a name for it, I'll get more stuff, but you guys get the first little things I've been working on. My hand is here, and I do this with the gi or without the gi. So this hand is going to come inside my lapel, right in that area that Troy would want if he wants to choke me. So I have to be careful with that. I don't want his hand to come around my head and grab my lapel here. That's going to be a problem. Okay, so I put my hand where it is, and he might grab, but if he grabs, it's on the downside, which is fine. Okay. Another thing is my elbow. If Troy sits up for a second, my elbow is on my hip, right in front. Sorry, not on my hip. Slightly in front on this side of my hip, the softer part of my stomach. I stick it in here. I don't want him to cut underneath, and my hand is straight. So if Troy tries to dig that elbow out, it's not going to happen. If he does, this is a huge problem. Okay, so I cannot let him grab my elbow. I cannot let him get control of that collar there. Likely, they start grabbing the shoulder and they start looking around. So he's just going to try and play, and then he starts realizing, no, it's not working. And then move into him. Okay, so the first thing I need to invest that time in is being comfortable with that position. Once you get your partner, he's going to kind of just probe around and be like, well, can't get the collar, can't get the elbow, I'm not really sure where to go. Okay, so he's going to kind of fumble with his grips. And during that time, you're going to feel his base, his pressure off of you comes off of you. It won't be on your shoulder anymore. It's just going to be more on his heels. And that's what we're waiting for. Okay, so I'm here. He's starting to play with my elbow, all that. It's not working. Okay. Now when I feel him relax and settle back, okay, so which he hasn't done yet, and I'm going to wait until he's done trying to play with me. Yeah, if he's trying to pull me back like that, go ahead. There you go. I'm just going to duck out. Remember we did that? The underhook escape, it's exactly the same motion, exactly the same. Okay? So I'll show you a few things that happen here. So maybe he tries to prop me up. If he tries to prop me up like that, put my back on the mat, and I'm spinning back into my guard. If he puts his hand on my shoulder and his other hand is behind my hips, so he's just kind of sitting back and waiting, okay? Now this hand is going to go up to his neck, around, and then I'm driving into him right away. My head goes into his shoulder, and I drive into him. If he postures up, what do? Replace guard. That's right. Okay. Anytime he sits up, we can always replace guard. Oops, sorry. But if I feel that weight back, okay, I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for my hand to go by his trap so I can go like, hi-ya, like a little karate chop backwards. Turn and drive in. Drive into him. Turn him right over. This is a nice escape. It gets guys caught off guard all the time. Okay, but I'll show you extra stuff. So I'm going to show you down. And he spins around in the position. He's on his side. He's on his side. And this is even new to Troy. That's how new this stuff is. I haven't even got a chance to show Troy yet. He wants this hand here and there. Good. Now right here, I can get the hand in. That hand cuts in, I am going for Kimuras. Okay? The second I get any kind of separation between his elbow and his lat, Kimura, 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 until he does something to defend it. So you typically can go here and here. It's like, oh, I can't make it. And if I sit back, he's going to go for escape. So obviously you can't let that happen. So here's a little trick. Say we want that arm. Of course, hands on the shoulder. I'm going to try and cut in. He's not doing it. I'm going to reach through and grab his elbow. And when he tries to pull his arm away, there we go. He'll lift his elbow up. Okay? When he lifts his elbow up, now I get my head back in, trap it, lock it, Kimura. Whether you're cutting back to this side, whatever it is, you're going for that Kimura. Okay? So again, you're here, you keep pressure on the guy, grab his wrist, he starts to pull away. Yeah, there you go. Now you're locking in that Kimura. Okay? So that's the next little trick, and I'll show you one extra little detail that I've been working on. Sometimes guys got to keep that pressure on top of you just like this, and they kind of look for your elbow and they can't get it, but he's still not sure if you're ready to go. Watch this. I'm going to bring my elbow back. Okay, so I don't keep my elbow in front of my stomach now. That's ideal, but now he's being a little smarter. I bring my elbow back. So now Troy, to get my elbow, he has to go behind me. He has to reach further back. So I'm here. There we go. Right up. Okay, so another angle here. On this side, only my elbow's here. If I feel him settle, I'm going. Okay? But if he's got that pressure on me, I bring my elbow back. So wait a second. I'm not going to do this because his hand's behind me already. So when his hand's over on this side, bring my elbow back. So wait, Speedy. Okay? I bring my elbow back. When I feel him reach back for my elbow, yeah, he's going for it now. Go ahead, go ahead. Then I go and drive in. And if he stays on his knees, he stays on his knees. I try to jump on his back. Okay? So we just want to get that spin out. We're going to create an opportunity. So now I showed you a nice little defensive position on the bottom, which is great for recovering if you're tired. Okay? It doesn't give much up for the other guy. If he does go for a choke, I don't have my gi on, but we'll pretend that he managed to get a grip. Remember, I cannot let his hand go on this side. Huge no-no. If his hand goes on the other side, okay, I'm doing the same thing, and my head goes to the floor. Okay, so I'm going to peel that choke away. So I make sure I'm going down and away and look into him. Okay, that's totally other thing to work on. We got other stuff coming up. You'll see about that. But now you get a nice little bonus defensive posture. This one's fun. I play with this one with the beginners. You get a guy who's really rambunctious. It's just fun to put him in that position, or get put in that position myself, and let him see what he can figure out. It's fun to have people go, and I realize they don't know what to do. And against the higher belts, if you get tired, it's a good recovery position. They'll go through that same process. They're going to do probe, probe, probe. They don't really know what's sticking out, as long as you don't leave your elbow out and your collar open, and there's nothing there for them. And then you get a nice little escape now that you know where to go. Okay, so have a lot of fun playing with it, guys. Okay guys, extra bonus, keeping on the idea of moving our hips out just like in that side mount escape. We're going to do the same thing from technical now. So Troy has mount on me. I turn to my side and he puts his knee up. Now this is pretty classic. His foot is by my hip, his knee is behind my back. Okay. Again, I do not want him to get my collar. So there's a consistent theme there. I'll put my hand in. I do not want him to get my elbow because he's going to go for arm bars. So again, the two most important things is that collar and the elbow. Okay, so I keep that in. Now when I feel Troy here, I'm going to keep my elbow by his hip, foot's on the floor, knee pointing up, and watch what I do with this leg. There. Now if Troy lets go of my head for a second, maybe you can see his foot. How comfortable do you feel, Troy?
Okay, so
yeah, it's a little awkward on him though. You're not moving too well, are you? Okay. So again, it's not what he wants, but this is because his weight's on his knee. So again, remember his weight, I feel his weight on his knee, not so much on his foot. I'm going to move his foot. Knee is up, elbow by his hip, hand still in, reverse shrimp, turn. And now I'm just looking for 2 hands under. Okay, or break away, whatever you want to do. Right? Do not, you're in that position, do not shrimp away and then put your elbow up and run into a triangle or an arm bar. Okay, so you have to be very, very conscious about that. You can't just be lazy with that elbow that's by his hip. So I'll show you another angle here. Where's that technical mount? On the other side, turn on the other side. My black belt side, purple belt side maybe. It's kind of new. He doesn't have, if he's sitting down this much, it's super easy, okay? So it's pretty obvious there. That's going to be a little better. Okay, elbows by his hip, foot here, foot, elbow comes in, right here. You can't, oops, sorry, you can't let that out and chop him in the face. Elbow comes in, turn to your knees, and then, yeah, you're going to look for your passes. If his weight's on his foot, it's a little different, okay? So, again, he's got mount, this normal mount, yeah. I turn to my side, and I find him loading up the weight on his foot. Now it's going to be really, really hard to move him. But I can feel there's not much weight on his knee. So I bring my legs back. I kick my leg back, put my elbow on the floor, right in front of his knee. Now I can start going right into my escapes. So his knee is heavy, I take his foot out. If his foot is heavy, or maybe I just find his base is pretty wide, I can't move it, I can't extend him, I'm going to put my back on the mat. But typically, the reason you're going onto your side, if you say mount, is because you kind of screwed up and your elbows are out. Right? If my elbows are in, I'm not going to turn to my side. My elbows are here, I'm going to stay here. This is my goal. I got a whole other set on how to escape mount, and this is by far one of the most important parts, is keeping the elbows in front of the knees. So if this breaks apart, the whole reason you turn to your side is because you screwed up at the beginning. My elbow is by his hip. If his foot is heavy, I swing my legs back. Look, elbows by his hip now. Now I can shrimp, right? Wherever I want to go for. But now I'm creating that same position. So keep that in mind, guys. This is a really, really fun one. If the weight's on the knee or the weight's on the foot, which direction I'm going to go, okay? Have fun with it. Another extra bonus move for you guys, because I can't stop filming stuff, is how to escape the Americana from bottom of side mount. The reason I need to put this one in is because it plays with the similar mechanics that we're playing with already. So whatever, maybe I made a huge mistake and did this. And Troy traps me. Now, I'll be honest with you, if you made this much of a mistake, you're probably tapping to the Americana. You're not going to get out. However, I will show you something. So again, he starts to trap my arm. I want to get my elbow in his armpit. I'm going to push Troy, bridge, and I'm going to roll him over, and then I can put him in an Americana. Unless he pushes into my armpit, and he extends me, and he bridges, and he rolls me over, and then, oh no, now I'm in Americana. And I push, and I roll him over. Now, the turnover, the reversal, only happens if he hangs on to the arm. So in the process of, if I'm here with Troy, this is a good angle, and I start pushing, let's go, well, that's okay. Oh, hey, look, now you just kind of waited there for me, right? But if you push him away and let's go, then you're just looking to recover your guard, and you're not getting Americana, which is the important part. But if he hangs on, push, hips up, bring that elbow in, roll him over, and then look for your own Americana, assuming he still is hanging on to the grip. And you know how guys are, they get a little competitive, they want to hang on to things, they don't want to let go. So this is a nice move. So one more time, I'll show you a little bit of an angled position. And here, he goes for Americana, turn on my side, push on his armpit, lift my hip up, pull it in, and you got your Americana. Okay, so there's a nice fun defense to Americana that kind of ties in with that similar motion we were doing before from that sit-up sweep, because we're pushing on the elbow. Okay, have fun.